Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chapter Tactics, where we talk about strategies and tactics to help out both new and veteran players alike. Nailed that intro.
Yes.
Did this like 20 times, and I'm still bad at it. My name is Magic RP's Fly, also known as Matt, and with me today we have our co-host, Demeki.
Hey, everybody. How y'all doing?
You will also notice that John P. is not here today. We ate him, we killed him, and we are harvesting his resources underneath the table. With us today, we also have Bricky.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, you want to give a better...
Did you want more than that?
Yeah, a little bit more.
My hello?
Yeah. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I play guard. Send me money on my OnlyFans.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. And then we have Skari as well.
Hello, everyone. And back to you, Bricky. I would say getting to know you is one layer at a time.
I get it. OnlyFans.
First time. Never heard it before.
Now it was just on the airwaves. And with that, bye-bye, everyone who just said
what a great show. Let's play the outro.
I don't want to watch this anymore. I'm gone.
That's all, folks.
So today we're doing a little bit more of a serious topic. Not so much about competitive, but mostly talking about the state of the game right now. Talking about things like 8th edition codexes that are still out that need to be updated because it's been like 2 years since we've been in 9th edition, right?
Yeah.
Since it's been 2 whole years. Now, everybody here has like 9th edition codexes available to them. How long did it take for, and we'll do it as a roundtable, starting with Demeki. How long did it take for your armies to get a 9th edition codex?
Oh man, I was easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. I'll tell you what. All right, so Death Guard I got first, and then Drukari and Dark Angels immediately after.
Yeah,
so
but
I'm
like,
just waiting
what
on
was
Tau.
the time frame of that?
So, well, all right. So, of course, we're kind of going in the same hiatus as last year, where we were expecting some codexes to be released around December time frame in January, and they got pushed due to COVID and other reasons. But Death Guard came out in December, and then Dark Angels and Drukari got pushed to January, February-ish.
Oh, so it was like about a year.
Yeah.
About a year. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right. Let's move on over to Bricky. What about you?
So, I mean, I got Necron's post codex, so I guess you could say immediately, but that one doesn't really count.
Yeah.
Sisters got the final 8th codex, and then their 9th in, what was that? It was like June, July?
It was.
Yeah, I would say around there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it wasn't like overly recent, but it was recent enough. And then since then, none of my other armies. I mean, I guess I'm slowly collecting salamanders, but that doesn't really count. So it would be Night Lords, which I'm working on, Guard and Custodians. And Custodians are coming, but Guard is nowhere in sight. So we'll see.
Yep. So what's the time frame of that? Like about another year?
For Guard, I mean,
No, not for Guard, but for Sisters when they came out. What was that? Like a year since 9th edition came out?
Yeah, right out a year.
I think. Well, because they were the final codex of 8th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they were.
And then I think they came out. Was there after AdMech?
Yes, it was actually
Shortly after.
Yeah.
Very quickly after, I think.
Yeah.
Right, because AdMech was so good, everyone kind of like just kind of flew into the radar a little bit because it was like the new AdMech book.
Yeah.
Around there, yeah. I think summer of 2021.
Okay, all right. And then what about you, Skari? Drukari player.
I'm gonna preface this saying, because I have played for a very long time, you younglings, that nothing compares to, I don't care what we talk about today, it will never compare to how things used to be.
Oh yeah.
Back in my day, I waited 13 years for a new Drukari Codex.
Whoa.
14 years. So Dark Eldar 2nd edition, or the 2nd edition Dark Eldar Codex, which of course in proper radio I'm holding up right now.
That's so beautiful.
Was released, I know, it's old school.
Look at that.
That was released in 1998.
Wow.
And
I was 7 years old.
I was 13.
And then the Codex Dark Eldar, which was the 5th edition book. I don't know. I just literally randomly grabbed it because that's how awesome this is. When they redid everything, was in 2010, I think is what it was. No, Yeah, 2010, I think
Oh,
as well.
man.
So it was like
Jeez.
12 years
Man,
of
2010
waiting
was a
for a
good
new
year.
codex.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's just say that with Drukari coming out in 9th edition, I didn't feel like I had to wait a long time. It was relatively quick in 8th, like 2018 was when the Drukari Codex came out for 8th edition. And then 9th edition, we just got it this year.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really that long of a wait
Dang.
in comparison.
Yeah.
What were you
That's
doing
pretty-
in
even-
2010? What were you doing?
In 2010,
Yeah.
probably some form of black tar heroin or something. I'm kidding. What were you going to say, Bricky?
I was gonna say, even though I am not as veteran as Skari is, I started in like early 7th, and even then in 7th, it still took quite a while. It's shocking how much faster it is than in 8th and 9th than it was back then. That being said, better does not necessarily mean good or optimal. So
Okay,
and I'm sure
optimal.
we'll
I'd say
discuss
I'd
that.
give you
Yeah.
optimal. It's definitely not like what we would
Yeah.
like, or in terms of the capability that we feel is possible.
Definitely.
However, the Drukari Codex was one of those that didn't have to wait very long in 9th edition, and then their book was like stupidly good.
Yeah.
It's the curse of having a great book.
Yeah.
If your army's finally good, but then you're like, oh, no one wants to deal with this.
See, we can break this down more because I want to piggyback off of what you guys are saying. But before we go on any further, this show is brought to you by frontlinegaming.org, where you can get amazing game mats for not just your 40K games, but almost any tabletop game out there. Purchase miniatures at a discount and join some of the largest 40K events in the industry. They also have the largest 40K podcasting network in the business with shows like Signals from the Frontline, Chapter Tactics, which you're listening to right now, Grim After Dark, and so much more. That's frontlinegaming.org, or you can click on the link of the description of this podcast on all the social media goodies out there. So LVO coming up in January. So get ready for that.
Y'all have fun.
All right, now let's
It was
dive.
so good.
Yes, let's dive straight into this. I'm going to actually just piggyback right off of what you guys were saying with, back in the day, everybody knows that Games Workshop was pushing out their codexes at a slower pace than what they are doing now, right?
Yeah.
However, if you take that into account, the technology that was out during that time, like in the 90s, wasn't very fast, right?
Right.
That was like during the advent of computers finally, becoming more than just large calculators for your home, right? It actually became personalized computers, right, during that time. And since then, now coming up to 2020, when information is so fast, you can, like, if you don't talk about something that happened like yesterday or the week before, all of a sudden it's irrelevant, right? Like information changes hands so quickly nowadays that even though it's faster than it was before, it kind of still feels out of place, especially in the modern world as of right now. And I think that's what the biggest problem is,
Right.
right?
Well, I mean, like in GW is making a stride to work better at that, I would say, especially when it came to the most recent data slate, right?
Oh yeah, the balance slate.
Yeah, the
That
balance
was very
slate
good.
was really good. Armies got exactly what they needed. A lot of 8th edition codexes got exactly what they needed in order to be a little bit more competitive.
There was only like three. There was only like three.
Yeah, but Knights really needed it, and so
Well,
did
yeah,
Chaos Knights.
Necrons were very happy.
Yeah, like
On a side note, the balanced data slate, very clean.
Yeah.
GBW has stumbled a little bit with how they format their stuff, but very clean, big old, great header and everything. Adeptus Mechanicus, Astromel Tarma, all listed down. It looked good. It was very concise, and it was only 3 pages, including all the points changes to Drukari and Admech.
Yeah.
Which,
Very minimalist.
That's nice.
It felt good.
Yeah, it was really nice to not have all that fluff that sometimes you see in like stratagems and all this other stuff that you're just like, wait, does it? What are they trying to say? Like,
Hey, I like that fluff.
I like that fluff too.
I
For
do.
a balance patch. it's
Yeah,
acceptable.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they got straight to the point. And that's what I enjoyed about it. Like, there was no like second guessing, because the last thing we need is a fact to a data slate.
Yeah, and so like I think that one of the problems that I have, right, is that yes, we're getting codexes at a faster pace, but then you look at stuff where armies are just like absolute, like people haven't touched their Tau army or their Craft Worlds army. Well, they've touched them, but they're not like super ecstatic about it, right? And I think that's what the biggest problem is that we're pushing it out where now it's been 2 years since we've been inside of 9th edition, right? And there's still armies out there that literally cannot play even at a competitive level. You can still play it as fluff. Anyone can play a game as fluff, right? As long as you're having fun, it doesn't matter if it's competitive or not. But if you're like going up to like a random game and you bring your Tau list and you're at a constant uphill battle, just constant.
Well, I think one of the cool things that started with the beginning of 9th, right, was that you got to see more lists, especially with Tau. Like there wasn't Triptides.
Yeah.
There was like Trip Tiger Sharks or 2 Tiger Sharks and some other stuff. Like there was a new flavor. So people finally could say, well, Triptides is no longer a thing. We can also do like Crisis Bomb and we can do Tiger Sharks and all this other stuff. But as soon as these other codexes came out, it was just like, we ain't going to survive against anything.
yeah.
We're just going to die to a swift breeze.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
So I kind of wanted to touch base with what you said about how it's like frustrating. I understand where you're coming from. The thing that I always kind of gets me is the fact that they can release such a good thing like the balance update.
Yeah.
But it's like a limited thing where it, using the medium of like a PDF, there would be, and just releasing it in that sense, or even if it was a Warhammer Plus thing, where if you got like a subscription Warhammer Plus, you get the patch and balances on just a constant basis or whatever.
I would love
like
that.
Even something as simple as that would solve a lot of issues in terms of people wanting things to get fixed now. I think culturally, we do live in a society where you tend to have like that need for instant gratification, like with video games or with like, getting to where you want to go or things like that. And it kind of translates into what has historically been a grumpy old man playing board games with dice game, right?
Yeah.
Like, does that, you know what I mean? Where it's like very like, you get your Codex and you just sucked it up for 10 years playing the same old rules. And I think that we're at that sort of like stage where there's such an influx of newer players, right? And such a cultural difference where people from all ages, all genders, all walks of life have like really started to play this game and get invested in what the game does. And therefore, you have a lot more types of people playing the game. Then you have the tournament circuit, with the ITC and GW making like events and things like that, and just all the events around the world that are getting a lot of press. People taking pictures, the social mediaing everything. So you're seeing the issues with the game like highlighted by bloggers, by people who do videos. So then you can you get a hyper focus and notice all the stuff that needs a balance, right? Yeah. So then we're constantly looking for things that need balance updates, and then there's this sort of like push to try and get all these things changed. However, the company itself doesn't have the sort of like gears in place to make that happen as quickly as we'd like it to happen. Yeah. And that leads to people kind of feeling a little disheartened or putting away their models because they're sad that they don't feel like they can play them, that sort of thing.
Well, I think the main thing too is that we went through almost we did go through a full year of no tournament events. And normally most companies, especially like Wizards of the Coast and stuff for Magic, they look at the meta and they go, okay, well, this needs to be balanced, or maybe we need to take a look at this particular card, stuff like that. And I feel like that's the problem that we're kind of running into right now as well, is like, we've been requesting something like the data slate since tournaments started, but the problem is that there just wasn't enough data, right? So like, I feel like they're still trying to play catch up because of COVID. And like that's understandable. Like we're just gonna have to wait until more tournaments keep happening, which it might mean more Drakari wins, which I'm cool with that.
I'm okay with that as well.
Oh, yeah, okay. Matt, we're outnumbered.
Yeah. Bricky, do you want to put in your 2 cents about this?
Well, I think it's interesting because the data slate, for as well realized as it was and it was well formatted as it was, came out very swiftly after the SoCal Open. Very obviously to tackle a lot of the problems with that, but on a combination of so many other things. You know, if I remember back when the Iron Hands won, was the LVO, and they had that really quick nerf on them. We got the almost a nearly identical situation here. But there's so much extra in there. The Necron core changes, the Knight changes, CSM. And while not all of them were incredible, having them there along with the changes to Orcs and Flyers was very quick and impressive, which makes me think that GW has the capability to make these quick changes. They just simply need a platform to do so.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm actually a little bit curious if I'm sure we'll discuss the Warhammer app at some point in the future, but the Warhammer app kind of, the possibility of it taking a space as the digital area for codexes could involve this data slate easier. Because Wahapedia, for me, is a huge place because they update the data slate and stuff nearly within days.
Oh yeah, it's crazy, and it's all
wonderful.
It's all controlled by like just one dude in Germany. It's like it's crazy. Yeah,
he's quick with it.
Yeah,
is it Germany? I thought it was Russia.
Or somewhere. It's
I see RU on there,
yeah,
sir.
Yeah. Now, one thing that Skari talked about that I kind of want to pick at a little bit more here is the influx of new players, right? Warhammer, when 8th edition came out, huge influx of players. 9th edition comes out, another huge boom in players, right? Especially during COVID times, right? Everybody was like dogpiling onto the hobby.
Also, like TTS, you know, being like such a big, you know, like tool for people to use it. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh yeah. So so there's a huge influx of these players, right? And when you have these huge influx of these players that are going towards factions, you know, at the start of 9th edition, they're just like basically like flipping coins, seeing like what faction they think looks cool, you know. You know, if people picked up Tau because they're like, oh, I love Gundams, weeb stuff, right? Cool, go for it. Oh, these guys, they eat dirt and they like biomass, alien, xenomorphic stuff. Cool, go for it. Imp Guard, all these other factions. Chaos Space Marines. And now if they decide to join the game in 9th edition and they didn't get lucky and pick any of the armies that got a 9th edition codex, you know, these are new players coming into the game that are having like a terrible time over the span of like 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like one of the biggest problems that is happening with Warhammer right now, and the retention that the company is trying to take a grasp of, it's kind of like slipping because of how dated the way that they're updating the game has become in modern standard times.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's a little unfortunate. I mean, like, to go back, Wizards of the Coast, like, if you look at D&D, game purely based on books, you can use models if you want to. You don't have to.
Yeah.
But, like, they started an online subscription service, and it's been doing really well. I like to use it. And like that was one thing during 8th, you had access to digital books, and I bought some of my codexes digitally from GW. But when they rolled out 9th, they put a stop to it, and I guess, you know, it's to combat piracy and whatnot. But like, I feel like they could have took a better approach a little bit. I was super excited for the app. It has been a useful tool at times, but like it missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Can I put a question out there real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not sure if this is jumping the gun a little bit, and if it is, you can circle back. And what are your thoughts on the concept that the Warhammer app you can purchase the individual codexes digitally through like I have the app, I want to get into Necrons. I want a 9th edition Necron codex in the app store. It is $10. And then you get all the thing. You get the thing, you get the use and stuff. I'm curious what your thoughts on that because obviously we're talking about a push to the digital age and moving it forward. And I'm curious the difference, particularly in profit margin, production costs of selling a codex physically versus the purchase of a $10 thing on the app.
Yeah. So this is actually a very interesting question, right? Because what we're looking at when it comes to Warhammer, especially in 9th edition, with stuff like the Grand Tournament rule set becoming more and more popular, people actually using Grand Tournament rule sets, which is like the more competitive way to play it, right?
Right.
Picking these more competitive secondaries. The game naturally has become more competitive compared to what it used to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because of that, right? When you have, if you are able to get these codexes at a $10 value on just a digital device, it becomes where, because like there's so many people out there that just open up a codex, they don't read any of the fluff, they just go and they flip straight to like, you know, data sheets, stratagems, you know, faction bonuses, stuff like that, and they go straight to that. So I think that could be a really big problem for GW, right? Because that's a $10 purchase versus what a book costs is like $60.
Yeah, I would say between 40 and 60.
Yeah, somewhere around there. So that's like a
40 and 80.
That's a $30 difference, and that's pretty huge. Maybe if it was like somewhere halfway between that, that'd be fine. But it depends on what GW wants to do. I'm sorry, Skari, you had a point that you wanted to talk about earlier. If you want to elaborate on that.
The point is come and gone. That's how my brain tends to work. I will think of it again at some point. But yes, we're good.
Yeah. What would you think about that?
Skari, out of curiosity, because you're such a veteran for this kind of thing, what are your thoughts on the separation between a codex via digital app versus physical? Because I mean, I think you and I both like the artwork and the fluff quite a bit, and probably get the codex for that regardless. But
well, to be honest, I always think I wonder how much research development dollars or pounds goes into just the new codex smell, right? Which, you know what I mean? Like, cracking, you know, having worked in sales for 7 years, like, you know, you go into a retail store, the music they play, the layout of the store, the perfumes they use, or the smell of the store, like it's all doctored to create like a Pavlovian conditioning within your brain, where you go into that store every time, and doesn't matter in which store you are, in which mall or which location, but you go to like a X store, it's going to be the exact same like feeling for your body. So it gets you comfortable, you get to spend money, right? And I wouldn't be surprised that a lot of the reason that the books are still there is because of the fact that there's so much sort of like R&D, like research and development, into the tactileness and feeling and the actual physical grabbing of a product, right? Like a book or a codex. You know, if you even feel the pages or the cover of a codex, a lot of them have like, they're like textured almost. They're not like flat. They're textured. Like you smell the book, you can hear the spine crack when you open it the first time. Like I'm pretty sure there's a lot of that in there that's designed to sort of like get us hooked to just that little ritual of buying a book, opening it, you know, sort of thing. Oh, yeah. So, however, I do think that having it in a digital form would be incredibly beneficial. And I think it would not only allow the release of the books to be a lot faster, but I think it'll allow them to troubleshoot their game a lot quicker. And, you know, and it is a fine line. You don't want to sort of like, you know, if you can change everything, should you change everything? Like, where's that like fine line between them getting really involved and changing everything all the time, or like not changing it enough, right? And that's always going to be an issue. But as for digital codexes and stuff, yes, there should be an app where you can click and it's linked up to your PayPal or whatever, and you just click on it and it goes, give me new codex, and then they could sell as many DLC campaign books as they wanted, or crusade supplements for your faction,
that would be amazing.
Or whatever they wanted, and literally do two like little microtransactions, and they'd probably end up making more money than with a physical codex based on shipping and development and printing and all that good stuff. However, I want the book. I want to hold it. You know, even though I own 1 million books, like I still gonna want my codex that I can take in my book bag, that I can crack open, that I just like, you know, you know, like, you know, you know what you know.
Yeah, no, I feel exactly what you're
understand
saying.
it.
Yeah.
I'm pulling out my sororitas book and I'm just like,
Oh yeah,
Oh.
100%.
Dude,
no, I don't do the same with the other books though. It's just the sororitas book. I don't know why.
Well, I feel like the two platforms too are really geared towards two different types of people. I mean, because like the physical book is definitely for new players, so you can walk into the store and do
Oh, yeah, it's a
exactly
marketing-
everything
it's marketing.
that Skari was talking about.
Yeah.
And then the digital platform is more for veteran players. That's like, I need the information, I need it now, so I can be on top of my game. And, you know, just in case if I forget my book at home, I have it on this phone that I always constantly carry around with me. So, like, yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like the veteran players are kind of being ignored, but at the same time, I'm sure they're probably just trying to brainstorm and figure out how to do it.
Like, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the books. I
Yeah.
still, like, whenever I would 100% rather flip through pages in my book than look up stuff on Wahapedia, like when I'm playing or anything like that. Or if I'm just like sitting on the toilet and I have nothing to do, I'll bring a codex in and just start like reading stuff. Like, you know, it's totally fun. And then there's really nothing that kind of beats buying a codex on the day that it releases, opening up the shrink wrap, and then just hearing the and then just like smelling it. Nothing beats it. It's so nice. But like I feel. Oh, go ahead.
It's like a collective thought. Like when we have described just that alone, everyone who plays this game, who's listening to this right now, understands exactly what we mean.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like you hear like the spine do the little crinkle and everything. It's got
Yeah.
there's a feeling to it. Also, I'd say it's really good thematically. You know, if I'm playing Warhammer, the sci-fi fantasy, having like a book with all the regalia and the propaganda kind of thing on it, it has a little feeling to it.
Yeah,
You know?
it's definitely like a very classic feeling. It's like when you look at D&D on something like Stranger Things, right? And you see like those piles of books, and like it feels correct. Like that's like that's what I want. That's what I want to feel, right? And when you see like these Warhammer books like all stacked together, you see all these miniatures, you see like these measuring tapes and stuff. It's like that feels good. I like that. That I feel at home, you know, when I look at that. However,
And then you can read each chapter and the tactics jump out of the page.
Yeah, all 215 of them as of right now. Like, or
I
something
would
like
say
that.
that there is a little bit of overlap you'd have with the physical and digital, though, because I mean, obviously we want to be financially conscious, but Warhammer players have been known to spend a lot of money, and I would say myself as well. I would absolutely buy the Codex. And I'd probably buy the app as well, because then I'd have it right there at a tournament if I need to fact check something or check a stat line or something. There'll be a nice little overlap.
I'll tell you what, I'm still paying for Warhammer Plus, and I've never even opened it once. So, you know.
You're missing out,
That's
man.
not true. You did open it.
Yeah.
But
But yeah.
There's no arcane, but there's some pretty cool stuff in
There's
there.
very little that's as good as Arcane, so
There's nothing
it's a hard one there.
other than maybe Astartes. If it was
So-
like
So I totally agree with what Bricky is saying. I think that if they do open it up digitally, people will still buy it. They're still going to buy it. Like, you have your veteran players that are still going to buy it.
Yeah.
But chances are that those same veteran players probably still love the smell of the books and like looking through the pages and reading the fluff, because you can't really be a veteran player of the game if you're not invested in like these armies and you're not invested in the lore backing up these armies. You know what I mean? So
I'd like to make a quick addendum real quick. I forgot that you actually get a code if you buy the physical codex for the app.
I don't count that though. I don't count.
I forgot about that. Now I'm telling GW to force you to pay extra money faster to buy the codex.
Well, there are some things that you don't get with the code. Like, even if you get the codex, there's some things that don't show up. Like, and the formatting is different. So if it was like put in the code, get a PDF of your codex, I would almost prefer that than the way that the app is released. I do feel that it is very useful, though, to put in like a data sheet or a rule or the name of a stratagem, and you can just have it pop up right away. And I think that's really, really useful. However, it's definitely not the same.
Now, this is a very common opinion that a lot of people have whenever I read up about this same topic. And it's that people think that the codexes, all the codices, should be dropped at the same time at the start of a new edition. what's your guys' opinion on that?
Well,
I think they're laughably unrealistic.
Nah.
Yeah.
I think they're spoiled with 8th, right? Because that's what happened with 8th.
I don't know.
What's the
8th had a refresh when the
Right, but
edition
every
came out.
codex was dropped when 8th dropped.
Was it every?
Yeah,
I think
they
it was more like,
did it. They did it in 3rd edition, where they had every army got into like an index form, and it was in the main rule book, and it was like an abbreviated version of like, you know, a Dark Lance was the same as a Last Cannon, was the same as like a, you know, like it was very, very streamlined rules, and then the Codex has added more. But in 8th, yes, they did give us the index, all the indexes that sort of brought every army into 8th edition. So that was good, even though some of it was still crazy unbalanced.
But I feel like
everyone wonders
sounds
why
like
I
a
hate
great idea.
Craft World Eldar, and we look
I
at 8th
actually
edition
like that.
planes.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that indexing thing. I feel like that's a good idea. They could just like refine it a little bit more, so that it's not as unbalanced as it can possibly be. Because like circling back to what we're saying, you know, we're talking about 2 years where like. When was the last time that you guys looked at a Tau player that was playing a game, 40K, and you can tell that it was like they were hiding behind a happy face mask? You know what I mean? Like, it's just because
I don't know. Last time I saw that, it was Richard Siegler, and he had a very happy face.
Yeah.
well, that's different though. That this, you know,
I
like your
I'm
your casual normal players, like somebody that can only play the game like maybe like once a month.
Depends on how
or
much
twice a
terrain
month.
you have on the table.
Yeah. Is this enough
Just enough
terrain?
We
Well,
put
I
one
think
barrel
there
in
is
the middle of the board
yeah.
and 9 broadsides.
Yeah,
They're
right.
definitely smiling. They're like,
I think there is something to be said though, where I think it's a compounding issue. 'Cause I would like to have seen 9th without the COVID and the Brexit delays and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But also, in a sense, I think the Tau thing is a two-pronged problem. I don't particularly think GW has done a fantastic job with pointing the Tau. Shield drones are 15 points, aren't they, Demeki?
Yeah. Well, don't even get me
Yeah,
started.
like I
It's-
mean, and
there's
then
the-
they didn't really get a whole bunch of points changes in the prior chapter approved. I think you can band-aid those 8th codexes a bit because everything can be solved with points.
Yeah.
Technically, the whole thing can be solved with points. But Craft Worlds Tau haven't done a great job, in my opinion, at like making those 8th edition codexes better via the point way.
I agree with that. I mean, the shield drones needed a nerf. They needed a point nerf, but at the same time, they also nerfed marker light drones, which are a very big necessity to the army. And it wasn't even just marker light drones; it was just like marker lights in general. So like it was a function that is required for the army, but like they also got hit with point increases, and it kind of just hurt the army like all the way around.
Yeah, to the point of it being like kind of dead in the water.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
I mean, to the point to where like you know, everybody stopped bringing Riptides because they started doing Crisis Bomb because like that was the way that you could increase a ballistic skill for Tau permanently from like 4 to 3, and then kind of sprinkle in some marker lights and like hope for the best.
Yeah. So that like coming from Tyranids, right?
Yeah.
During all of 9th edition, you know, it's been like a touch and go type of thing until we reach the data slate. And now with the new balance slate or data slate or whatever, it's a great time to be a Tyranids player.
Yeah.
Up until that point, though, it was a mixed bag of how you play them. You know, you either had to dive into like Forge World, you had to not think about what makes the army fun for you, right? And start thinking about what is going to let you win the game, right? Because like you can definitely have fun losing, but if you're like losing like 30 games in a row or like 15 games in a row, chances are you're probably not going to want to keep playing over and over again because you're just like, what's the point if I'm just going to lose? You know what I mean?
Man, it's going to make that victory that much sweeter.
Yeah, like you see the same thing with like video games. You know, you go on like this huge losing streak, and then you're just like, I can't
Well,
do it.
I mean, at least Warhammer's not like COD, because if it was, I'd be like, one more.
Well, then
one more until I win.
that'd
One
be-
more.
Well, that's like an
that doesn't
addicting
happen
thing.
to everyone.
That doesn't happen. Yes, Skari, how many games do you play before you go to bed of Warhammer? He hasn't been to
I play a lot of games. I can do the one more game anytime.
Yeah, no, I like, if I could, I would do the same thing where I'd be like, I'll play this game all day. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like your regular players, like the people that aren't people like us that have the time to play this game like every single week, that don't have an outlet to play it every single week or even more times a week. You know, we're talking about the people that have like a 9 to 5 that come up, or, you know, they can only fit in 1 or 2 games a month.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And then if you're playing 1 or 2 games a month and then you end up losing for like 5 months in a row, right? That's 10 games. All of a sudden the game doesn't sound very fun to you at that point, right?
Yeah. Or you're like, oh, I need to get a new army.
Yeah,
And then,
exactly.
And then you're just like, man, what about my favorite army, my baby that I started off with?
Like turning it to, like spinning it around and going back to like the concept we were talking about of digitalizing like rules and concepts. You know, I feel like then we have something like the campaign books, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the times those are kind of seem to be a little bit like patches, you know, like Tyranids just got like an injection of goodness with the new like campaign book. They've got some really cool rules, that sort of thing that brings them more into the mix of 9th edition.
Yeah.
Now that's definitely something that I would love to see if they're not going to release like codexes all in one go, for example, and they want to release sort of these campaign books as more of that balancing, that it's an opportunity to get onto that digital market where you can release more things more frequently, or even something like a per faction PDF data slate thing. Like instead of a balanced data slate, have like an FAQ, but like a balanced data slate for each faction that they just like review every month. Even
I wonder,
you know. It wouldn't take a lot of time, and I would do it for free, Games Workshop. I'm telling you right now.
I want to make a quick fix of something that I said. I think I was saying like, yeah, Tyranids, now that they have the new data slate balance sheet, like I was talking about Octarius. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, the campaign book.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I love the campaign books. They've been great so far. And like, the other thing that it just reminded me when we started talking about like the changes that have come, like before we got the Imperium Compendium book, which was the new Forge World rules and stuff. Like Tau felt different then because of the Tiger Sharks and stuff. And then that book came out, and then you felt different because now you had your Demacarians.
Yeah.
That got some love in
Demacarians
that.
and Hyrule and the Harridan.
And I thought, I thought that was cool. Like it brought more flavor into the game, and I really like the Forge World models. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I think they're cool, but like.
Slightly expensive, but, you know, cool.
Yeah, and it brought more flavor into the game, and then it got stale again, and then we started getting the campaign books and stuff, and I agree with what Skari's saying, but, like, the other thing is, too, is I'm wondering, like, the reason, like, because, like, they also have to do stuff for White Dwarf, right? And there's been stuff released in White Dwarfs, like, was it The Fallen? Right, they released that in the White Dwarf. So, like, I feel like they're kind of like juggling maybe a little bit too much too.
Yeah, they just
at the same time.
Yeah, if they just put everything like what we've been saying throughout this entire episode is if they had like one singular app where you can get all the information and like you can even come up with like indexes for every single army, start pushing stuff out more quickly, start pushing out things like your campaign book, start pushing out data slates more quickly. Then I feel like that becomes a lot more healthy, right? Yeah. Because like we look into what's going to happen in 2022 with what are the possible books that can come out. We still have Chaos Space Marines that need to come out. They still haven't released books for like White Scars, Ultramarines. There's still, you know, so there's still more Space Marine stuff that's going to come out.
Oh yeah.
It's been rumored that maybe like, you know, what if Chaos Space Marines get individual codexes that's not just
like World Eaters and all them.
Yeah, it's not just like, you know, one singular Space Marine or Chaos Space Marine book. You know, what if that happens? Then are we looking at other armies that need these 9th edition books get pushed even farther back?
I would like if GW was just less stingy with the points changes. I think if you were to do a big old data slate for Tau right now. Like on the data slate, you nerfed Drakari and added mech, and you buff Tau, and you buff Tau in all these different ways. And it's 3 months before the new Codex drops. I don't know a Tau player who wouldn't be okay with that. They get to have their couple months of fun.
Yeah.
And with the new stuff, and then new Codex is out.
And even more months of fun.
Just drop an Earth mode. Like, just drop, like, something that breaks it. Like, let them have their fun in the sun. They've been trapped underneath this rock.
I don't mean make them OP or anything, but, a points change in these, because they're every quarter.
Yeah,
you mentioned, right? Is the new data slate.
I'm exaggerating, but yeah.
I really like that quarter thing, because this is a physical hobby. You need the time to build and adjust, and you can't have like a monthly patch, I don't think.
No, yeah.
Unless it's like just a ton of data testers. But having that kind of point change, just being able to like, all right, Tau, your marker light drones are 10 points again. Your broadsides are cheaper. Your infantry is all down a point. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That stuff I feel like would really benefit from that kind of thing. Even if it doesn't last a long time, it would make people happy for the time being.
Exactly.
What about armies like your Imp Guard?
Imp Guard is such a convoluted army in like the data sheet style. It's not a very convoluted army to play.
Yeah.
But just the amount of stuff. I mean, I'd like it. I don't know where they would begin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about they begin by retroactively taking away all the stuff they retconned from their codex? Like, it's funny because we're talking about codexes, and if somebody were to pick the codex up, like if you pick a Astra Militarum codex up from 8th edition and play it as it is in the codex, most of the stuff in that codex is illegal in terms of rules.
Yeah.
The commissar doesn't work like that anymore. Like the conscripts got retconned to have like rules added to them. Ratlings work differently. Like there's so many different things that got changed and switched that if you were to go and buy the 8th edition Astro Codex, like you sort of need the FAQ to play it, and you need to know about the FAQ to play it. So a new player would have a harder time like understanding, so this rule isn't actually what is written on this piece of paper.
Yep.
It's like a different rule now. And I think is one of the things that is the most complicated thing when you're doing both the digital and the print releases.
Yeah.
Whereas you have to find a way where somebody who has no idea what the game is, who walks into the store for the first time, can pick up a book or can pick up something to play the game, a starter set or whatever, and can essentially play it without instantly having not being able to play it because the rules are out of date instantly. Right?
I think that comes down to the person that's selling them that book too, like that actual LGS.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that if you are an LGS owner and you're selling stuff like Warhammer products and stuff, you kind of have like a little bit of a responsibility to say, hey, you're buying this book. Let me tell you all this other stuff that you're going to need if you're, something like that. Like, I'm pretty sure they do that. Do they do that in like Warhammer stores, like in actual Warhammer stores? I don't know.
It depends. I mean, depends on the person. Often the LGS is the Warhammer store. Like the person I go to, I see they're pretty down to earth about it. Like, hey, if you want to buy the Tau Codex, fine, but they're getting a new one pretty soon.
I'll tell you from experience that a lot of local game store owners don't keep up to date with the game as much as we competitive players do.
Yeah.
They'll because they have so many other games and so many other systems that they're constantly going through and promoting and getting people to play and stuff that the little nuances of, hey, this FAQ changes this unit or that unit. Like a lot of the times they just don't know.
Yeah,
right?
and they're also going to invest more into the game that sells the most in the store.
Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
I guess I'm being a little bit too critical about LGSs. They do a great job still.
Yeah, I mean they still do a great job. But
I'm trying to figure out a fix for that problem. It's hard.
Well,
it's a hard problem to fix.
Yeah, it really is, because like even as a new player, like the book doesn't. If you read your book from cover to cover, it doesn't even tell you like, hey, you should probably go to Warhammer Community because that's where we do updates.
Yeah, if they just add in a page, like maybe I don't know, add in a page right when the rules are there and just be like, your book might have updates. Check out warhammercommunity.com to look at the FAQs. That might be, that's like what? That's 1 cent more to print that page.
That's a very good idea. Just even having that would be really kind to new players.
Yeah, right.
And then or download the Warhammer app.
Yeah,
look at that.
Have
and
an
then,
ad page.
Cross promotion.
Yeah,
like comic books back in the day.
Yeah, like comic books, and then like when you flip over the page, it's like, hey, you could check out these X-ray goggles that you can buy for 25 cents,
dude, or Game Genie, dude.
Yeah.
So long as it's on like a page before the actual balance stuff, because I don't really want to take me out too far of the Codex, because it has that nice like lore feel. You don't want to.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to be a little too much on that.
Yeah.
Nah, dude, give me all the ads. Give me a Nintendo Power Glove from like 1980. Like, give it to me. I want it all.
Dude, what were the old AMD graphics processor, like the big wizard on it?
Oh yeah,
the old like GTX graphics cards, like the
get a Power Glove.
Yeah.
Dude,
Power
Glove.
Now that's power.
Now you're gaming with power.
I think that we're pretty much donezo here when it comes to this topic. We've kind of covered up everything. Is there any other stuff that you guys want to talk about as a roundtable, Demeki?
No, I think I'm good. I'm pretty excited for all the new codexes coming out.
Yeah. Oh, you know what?
What?
You know what they can do? That
What?
would be that would go like a mile, a mile. Just a roadmap, just like a genuine roadmap of all the codexes that they're planning on releasing.
Oh yeah.
In what order, stuff like balance slate updates, things like that. Just give us like a roadmap. If they could just give us that, I would be more than happy with it.
They did that, Matt, in the beginning. Remember?
Well, no. I think what Matt's trying to say is instead of doing like what they've been doing and kind of like giving us that small roadmap of, hey, look, here's the next couple of ones coming out. Just give us a complete roadmap for every single codex that's left. Just like, all right, this is when you can expect. Like, if it's just the year and like what codexes they're planning on releasing in that year, I would be completely fine.
Yeah,
with that.
like
it doesn't have to be like by quarter. It doesn't even have to be by month, just like year and then what's coming out.
What's coming out, along with when is a big, like the field manual coming out on what day, or like, what time frame, when the next slate or balance slate is going to be coming out. Stuff like that would help out a lot for the game and make sure that like people are actually stay excited for the game, right? Because now you actually have a roadmap. It's like, oh, okay, so this is a problem right now, but hey, you know what? This is coming out in this amount of time, so I'm still fine. Like, it's okay.
I think what would be cool, too, is if they did, like, a vote for cover art for certain codexes. I think that would be cool. If they did, like, a poll where you could pick, like, the one with the most votes gets to be the art. I
don't think that could ever work, because I'm pretty sure that they print these books a long time ago.
Come on, you know how they...
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just spitballing some stuff.
Do not give the power to the consumer like that, or you will have to make sure you're ready to enact what you voted for.
No, yes.
Even if it's bad.
Like Naked Magnus.
Yeah.
Terrible.
You know what consumers consume? They're not the people that make the stuff that they consume. Yeah?
Yeah.
Something like that. That was not very proverby.
You know what they should do is, if they do an app that has like a page thing, they should have like you could click on it and it makes the noise of you cracking open the spine and stuff. Like if they were to put some of that tactile like sound cues inside of the actual app to like get you more comfortable with it. Money idea right there.
And then they could sell an extension for your phone where you could plug it into it, and then it'll like spray out
spray perfume or pheromones or whatever.
Yeah.
Man, we should record that and put that as one of the buttons on the soundboard.
No.
Yeah, it would be great, dude.
It'll sound like a fart.
Reverb.
Skari, is there anything that you want to add on to the conversation before we end it off?
Well, I think that one of the biggest things you have to understand is, we haven't exactly been living a, quote, normal life the last couple of years, number one. So a lot of this stuff and things that we kind of want is in relation to the situation of the world.
Yeah.
Secondly, you have to give yourself some perspective and understand that even though it might not seem it seem this way, if you're getting into the game and it's brand new, they are constantly improving. Even though it's like little at a time, and even though they should really, quote, improve much faster because they have so many resources or so much capital or whatever, like they are, and they have, depending on what sort of period of time you're taking from perspective. And thirdly, it's a hobby. Like at the end of the day, if you want to play it, you can play it for any reason you want. But if you take it as a hobby, a lot of this stuff becomes a lot less stressful. Mm-hmm. If you collect multiple armies, a lot of this stuff becomes less stressful because then you can hop from one to another, right? And then it does come down to money or whatever. But, you know, people who play golf spend thousands of dollars on new balls every other day or whatever. I don't know what golf is, but yeah, it's a hobby. Treat it like a hobby, you know, whatever. Mm-hmm. Like you're gonna get your fun toys to play with at some point, and then enjoy them. Mm-hmm. While everybody else complains that they don't have the toys. And that's how that works.
Yep. I agree with that. Bricky.
My only goal is to finish my Night Lord so I can say I played CSM before the Codex.
Nice.
That's the only thing I care about right now. I want to get them done, play a couple 9th edition or 8th edition Codex matches, and be like, I was there. And then when by some twist of fate, Night Lords are become the meta, I can say I'm not a meta chaser. Look, there's a video proof.
I played Night Lords before.
Silent King win.
Yeah,
Silent King win.
Did you know that apparently there's a joke where PETA was selling a fake leather jacket that looked like human skin?
Oh, the human skin thing? Yeah, I saw that.
Apparently it's a gag. I was legitimately going to buy it.
It looked cool, right?
And then wear it when I take Night Lords to a tournament.
Yeah.
It would have been perfect. I'm sad.
You could also do it as Drakari.
Yes.
Yeah.
Skari, buy the jacket.
Archon wears human skin.
Archon wears. Kamara threads. Ooh. GW.
All right. We're done here. we're done. Long story short, GW is doing they're doing better than what they used to do.
Yeah,
which is good. We welcome the balance slate. We love the balance slate. Want to see more of it. But you know, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. Anyways, that's it for this episode. Thank you guys for joining us. If you guys liked it, make sure you guys press subscribe and stuff. Skari, if you want to plug in where people can find you, please do so now. Or forever.
Absolutely. Please find me in the webway at 333webwaycentral.com. No, don't search that. You can find me on YouTube. Search for Scodcast, and then all the links to social medias are right on the YouTube page, like the Patreon and stuff like that. You are all amazing. So thank you so much for listening. Skari out.
Yeah, boy. Bricky, please plug yourself.
Dude, it's just Bricky and like literally everywhere. Just look it up.
Yeah.
I'm done.
All right, cool. Nice. You can find out more of our stuff at marvel.com. Also, I'm just kidding. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good night.
We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.